Good morning. Having a bit of a challenge getting set this morning because my phone rang at 2 minutes to 9. And I'm like, but I have some. Yeah, well, it is what it is, right? It's like every now and again, all of my worlds collide. And that was this morning because work called me at 9. All right. Oh, all right. So it is July 22nd, and it is, I think, Wednesday. I'm not absolutely positive about that, but I'm pretty sure. And our title today is I Partake of the Nature of God. The Spirit of God hath made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. And that is from Job 33, chapter 33, verse 4. All right. Let's get into it. No one can doubt that God is perfect. But Jesus said, "Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect." And he had already located heaven within. He also said, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven." By which he meant that when we do the will of God, earth will be like heaven. That is, the without will be like the within, for the two are really one. Therefore, our claim, our affirmation, our prayer, and our acceptance, our communion with the infinite should always be based on the realization that God is in and through his creation as well as around and about it. When we make this claim, we are not speaking from the standpoint of the little isolated ego that we appear to be, but rather we are acknowledging, accepting, and agreeing with the perfection that already exists. You and I had nothing to do with the creation of this perfection. We did not think it up or plan it out or cause it to be. For this, we should be profoundly grateful. For the human mind is finite and limited. Our claim, rather, is one of identifying ourselves with the divine, recognizing its presence, and accepting its action in our lives. Realizing that God is all there is, that God is perfect, and that God is right where I am, I gratefully acknowledge and accept my own perfection, seeing and knowing myself as God must see and know me. I boldly claim the perfection of God to be my own perfection. There is nothing separate from the divine. I am one with it. I am one in it. I am one of it. It flows through me and is my life. I am rooted in its completion, its wholeness. God is my life, and my life is God. There is nothing else. Therefore, anything that claims to be something else, I repudiate. I deny, I separate myself from everything that contradicts the nature of my being, and simply and sincerely and with complete relaxation accept that which God has given me, myself. All right. I think we saw just a spark of Ernest Holmes humor in there. Okay. So, he starts off by asserting no one can doubt that God is perfect. Well, I'm sure plenty of people doubt that God is perfect, but in the science of mind, accepting that the definition of perfect is whole, not necessarily flawless, although I would not attribute any flaws to God. No one can doubt that God is perfect. God is whole. God is all there is. But Jesus said, "Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect." And Jesus had already located heaven within. So where is heaven? Heaven is within. Well, then perfect is within. Our goal is to make perfect without. He also said, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven," by which he meant that when we do the will of God, earth will be like heaven, which he then proceeds to explain. That is, the without will be like the within, for the two are really one. So heaven is all around us. It is our job to open up our eyes and see it, and to accept it. Sometimes, like, we look through the glass and we see heaven on the other side of the glass, and we're like, well, how can I get there? And it's like, you gotta accept it. See it and accept that you are worthy of heaven, because you are. I mean, you are a child of God. You are worthy of heaven. Therefore, our claim, our affirmation, our prayer, and our acceptance, our communion with the infinite, should always be based on the realization that God is in and through his creation, as well as around and about it. Oh my goodness. There are so many commas in that sentence. So many commas. But our claim, our affirmation, our prayer, our acceptance, our communion. So all of these things that we do with the infinite should be based in the fact that that God is in and through his creation, as well as around and about it. So everywhere you look, God is. Everywhere you look, God is. Including in the mirror. Very important point. When you look in the mirror, that is God looking back at you. When we make this claim, we are not speaking from the standpoint of the little isolated ego that we appear to be. So I like how he says, the little isolated ego that we appear to be. We're not that little isolated ego. We are so much more than that little isolated ego. It's just that ego likes to tell us that's all we are. But we are acknowledging, accepting, and agreeing, the 3 A's, acknowledge, accept, agree, with the perfection that already exists, accepting that you are made of God's stuff. You and I had nothing to do with the creation of this perfection. Right there. That's where I started to giggle. You and I had nothing to do with the creation of this perfection. We did not think it up, plan it out, or cause it to be. We do have the responsibility to carry on the perfection. The things that we do in love carry on this perfection, but we didn't create it, and we are not responsible for its ongoing. What we are responsible for is our contributions to. When you do something beautiful, when you do something loving, when you do something kind, when you do something compassionate, both for yourself or any other, or just because, that contributes to the perfection. So you do have the responsibility, and I would say the pleasure of contributing to it. But we didn't create it. We didn't plan it. We don't sustain it. And for this, we should be profoundly grateful. Okay, Ernest. For the human mind is finite and limited. And that's true. It is, because there's so much around us that we just don't grasp. I mean, just look at the color spectrum, for Pete's sakes. Our claim, rather, is one of identifying ourselves with the divine, recognizing its presence, and accepting its action in our life. So we didn't create the perfection. We don't sustain the perfection, but we are part of it. And so we recognize its presence in our life, and we accept the action of it in our life. When we accept the divine pattern willingly, then we are contributing to that perfection instead of fighting against it. Realizing that God is all there is, that God is perfect, and that God is right where I am, right where I am. I'm one of the little beings that is sitting right in my lap right now, right in my face. I gratefully acknowledge and accept my own perfection. Go look yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I gratefully acknowledge and accept my own perfection. That is a spiritual practice. Seeing and knowing myself as God must see and know me. And I read that. I was reading The Hidden Power of the Bible by Ernest Holmes, and I think I read that there too. And it's talking about when you look in the mirror, look and see yourself the way God sees and knows you, the way God created you. And I don't mean that childhood God that we were taught, the great accountant in the sky. I mean that loving, divine, patterning intelligence that works on love, that wants you to be happy. That's the truth of God. That is the perfection of God, not the human idea of God, but the God that is so much bigger than we are. All right. So, seeing and knowing myself as God must see and know me, because God can't see anything other than perfection. God can't see anything that God is not. And evil and sin and all of that, that's not God. That is a misuse of the law, and God can't see that. There is nothing separate from the divine. I am one with it. I am one in it. I am one of it. If you want to, I don't have them on, but the prayer beads, that would be an excellent way to use prayer beads, is to say that 108 times. There is nothing separate from the divine. I am one with it. I am one in it. I am one of it. I mean, that's a powerful trio right there. It flows through me and is my life. I am rooted in its completion. Its wholeness. Wait, okay, I'm losing my. Its wholeness. Oh, there's a comma there. That's why I'm confused. Its wholeness. God is my life, and my life is God. There is nothing else. Therefore, anything that claims to be something else, i.e. that great accountant in the sky, I repudiate, I deny, I separate myself from everything that contradicts the nature of my being, the nature of your being love, and simply and sincerely and with complete relaxation accept that God has given me. What has God given me? Myself. What has God given you? Yourself. But God created the divine pattern that you are, and then gave it to you to do with what you will. And so I say, live in love. Live in love. Look with the eyes of love. Because the universe just works better when we are happy. So what we need to do to be happy. And sometimes that does mean hard work. That does mean hard work. Because there are things that happen in this world that are not okay. And so we face them with love. We change them with love. And we move on. All right. So your mission, should you choose to accept it today, is to realize that God is all there is, that God is perfect, and that God is right where you are. To gratefully acknowledge and accept our own perfection. All right. That's our mission. It's not a small one, but they never are. Ernest does not pull any punches. Okay, I'm going to move on into the process of my day. So as always, I encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself. It is relatively cool right now, so I would encourage you to open your windows, get your fresh air, get your fresh perspective, do something that gets your mind and body moving. Whatever that looks like. Run, hop, skip, jump, dance, laugh, sing, read a good book, watch an amazing movie. Something that stimulates you to see the good in the world. There are dozens of documentaries that are pretty amazing. So do what you need to do to make it a fantastic day. And please remember that you are a beloved child of God in whom God is well pleased, and God is right where you are right now. All right. Reverend David will be on sometime around 5. I will be back with you at 9 a.m. and it is Wednesday. I believe that Reverend Marcia is still doing the visioning / meditation. Check your emails for that phone number and code. And then in August, a new class will be starting on Wednesday. Well, it's a book discussion on the living of science of mind, which if you haven't read that book, that's an amazing book. That's one of those that I'll just throw open and go, okay, I need some inspiration now. And that book can do that. So, and I learned where that book came from, which was really cool. So hopefully they'll tell you that in that class. And that'll be from 6 to 7 on Wednesdays, starting in August, I believe. So have a fantastic day, beloveds.